Hey, y'all. Thank you for joining me in this video today. This is Tony from Eat and Travel with Tony, and I want to welcome you to this video again. In this video, I'm making some peanut butter macadamia nut cookies. As you probably see me getting started and all that kind of stuff already. But like I said, I'm definitely making some in this video. But while I'm making the cookies, I kind of want to talk to y'all about how I kind of got into baking and how it's helped me heal over the years as well. I know I don't have a long time on this video, so I can't tell you every single small detail, but I'll tell y'all something in this video, I'll put it that way. So, of course, before I get started, make sure that you, of course, subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell to receive all the videos upload from this point here on out. And if you ain't seen those that I got down below in the past, go check them out too, because I got a lot of videos, travel videos, for cooking demos, all the type of stuff for you, and also some travel tips and hacks. So make sure that you go check those things out too. So let's go ahead and get into this, y'all. Like I said, of course, I'm Tony Tanetta. I've been baking for a long time. My earliest memory that I can remember as far as being in the kitchen was with my big mama. I guess we call her Big Mama, but she was my great-great-grandmother. So she was my daddy's mom's mom. I put it that way. So I guess 3 generations. Let me see, 4. I guess it's 4 generations. Lord, I just thought about that. 4 generations back. Like I said, she was around when I was a kid. So she's, of course, passed away now. But like I said, she was around when I was a kid. And I always remember going over to her house. Of course, my other cousins, other family members stayed there and that kind of thing too. Because, of course, at Big Mama's house, that's the house that everybody came to. And where they were treated like family. They always had a hot meal, a place to lay their head, those types of things. So that was always our Big Mama's house too. So, of course, like I said, my earliest memories, of course, over there spending the night. I was over there almost, ain't gonna say every weekend, but almost every weekend. And, of course, most summer breaks and spring breaks and all that type of stuff. Anytime that I had time out of school, you best believe I was at my great-great-grandmother's house. Because my friends, of course, and stuff was over there, too. Other cousins I played with and all that kind of stuff. But, of course, waking up in the mornings, my great-great-grandmother got up probably about 4-ish, 4:30-ish, between 4 and 5 in the morning. Usually it'll be 4 or 5, but usually about 4 or 5 in the morning. She'll put on, of course, a pot of coffee every single morning. And I'm sure she did that the days I wasn't over there too. But every single morning, put on a pot of coffee. And, of course, going up to the second floor, I can smell that coffee all the way upstairs. And, of course, that was for me. It was still dark outside, but that was my cue to, of course, go down to the kitchen so I could see her make the morning meal. And, of course, she'd also be getting ready to, of course, at the end of the morning meal, to, of course, start making some stuff for lunch, dinner. I guess you could say dinner. Put it that way. So, of course, I was down there, of course, always watching 3-4 years. I probably was about 3 or 4 years old. Of course, like I said, watching. I wasn't even in grade school yet. So, like I said, just watching her make stuff and mix up stuff. She's making Johnny cakes, homemade pancakes, scrambled eggs, bacon. Had all these cast iron. I used to love those cast iron skillets, y'all. They was heavy as heck, but of course, like I said, I love those things. And one thing I noticed about them cast iron skillets, she never washed them, not one time. Well, I may have seen her wash them like once, but otherwise, she just pour out the grease and wipe it on out. That's how she always cleaned those skillets. So I'm telling y'all this: if y'all got cast iron skillets, don't be washing them skillets. Like I said, as she told me, it keeps the seasoning and flavor inside the pan, so that whenever you cook with them, it always turns out awesome. And of course, we love always. But like I said, her making all those things in the morning, like I said, at some point, she gave me the authorization to, of course, like stir up the eggs, to, of course, get the pancake mix together. She'll tell me what to, of course, put in it. Because, of course, I was young. I had no idea. But she would tell me, get this cup of flour, or take a pinch of this salt, or take a dash of this, and this kind of thing to put in her. So, like I said, I definitely really enjoyed that. And, of course, at some point, I got a chance to not just stir the eggs in the bowl, but, of course, she let me crack the eggs at some point, too. So, of course, then I was, of course, starting to make the pancake mix from, remember what she told me. Now, I don't remember how to make it now, but back when I was younger, of course, I got to a point where I can go down there, start making them myself without her telling me exactly what to do. Sometimes I'd mess up, of course, but, of course, they still tasted good. Don't worry about that, y'all. They still tasted damn good. But like I said, I definitely got to that point. And then, of course, at some point, she let me make the Johnny cakes. The Johnny cakes were like cornbread pancakes. She made different. Well, the kind I made was cornbread pancakes. Then I made a skillet of cast iron skillet of cornbread too. So like I said, I got a chance to make all those things. And like I said, those are my earliest memories, of course, making food and doing that kind of stuff in the kitchen. I want to say that's the first person, Big Mama was the first person that actually let me cook in the kitchen at that young of age, as I think about it. Of course, my mom didn't let me until I was a little bit older, of course, over 10, I guess I put it that way, but I was already cooking with her and learning how to make stuff with her. At some point, I learned how to make bacon and all that kind of stuff, too. Of course, she made cakes in those cast iron skillets, too. And the cast iron skillets, and she had some round baking pans that she used to make cakes in, and like the square the square baking pan too. So of course I got a chance. Of course it was simple cakes. It wasn't anything with fondant or piped on letters or piped on borders, nothing like that at all. But it was all very simple. But like I said, she made it taste like it was just the best thing in the whole world, y'all. And of course I had my hand in that too, because I made some too. So like I said, I made it taste like it was the best thing in the world at some point. But like I said, those are my earliest memories. And then, of course, just visiting other families' houses and stuff, too. My grandmother, my mom's mom, she used to make her and my mom's mom and my mom's sister, they used to make some doggone good cakes, y'all. Like pound cakes. I had never had a pound cake till I got to their house. And I'm sitting up like, this is what this cake tastes like? So, of course, that's why I make pound cakes now. Of course, like I said, they made some doggone good pound cakes. Vanilla, lemon, caramel, all different kinds. And like I said, that was the best tasting cake I've ever had, to me, still in my life, those pound cakes. And like I said, I know how to make them now and that kind of thing too. The frostings for the top, the caramel, all that kind of stuff. I know how to make them now, y'all, though. Of course, I sell them too, because I didn't even, let me back up a little. Well, I guess I'm going forward a little bit. Just to let y'all know, I'm constantly saying I'm making things and that kind of thing. Just know that I have and I put the information in the description too, so that you all can check out my business, Cookies and Ish. I'm based out of Tucson, Arizona, but I sell, of course, try to focus on the cookies, but I also make the ish, which are the pound cakes and the cupcakes, things like that too, y'all. So just in case you're wondering, like, what is she talking about? She keeps saying she's making stuff and selling stuff. That's my business, y'all, my home-based business. But let me get back to the story. But like I said, eating those pound cakes, like I said, I actually love pound cakes. I love the thickness, or I don't know if they call it dense, or I just call it the thickness. They're just thick cakes. I don't know what else. I know people use the word dense, and I don't even like that word, that kind of thing, but whatever, that's a whole different story. But like I said, those were the best cakes ever, but they take a hell of a lot of ingredients. I guess about a pound of everything, just about. So, but like I said, those are the best tasting cakes to me. But like I said, Big Ma's Cakes is where I started from. Like I said, making those, helping to make the Johnny cakes, helping to make the pancakes, and all those types of things. And of course, the cornbread, like I said, the skillet cornbreads. I love those things, y'all. But like I said, those are my earliest memories of course, up until I was probably 10, 12 years old, with folks, of course, around me baking and making things and making sweets, making cupcakes. And then as I got older, come to find out, my dad's mom's mom, so my great-grandmother, her name was Tikora. Come to find out, she was actually, I don't think she was a trained chef, but she was, what she cooked, she cooked and baked. She cooked and baked for some of the more prestigious families in the St. Louis, Missouri area. So I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. They said she made some beautiful cakes, great tasting cakes and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I guess that's where that gene had skipped over her daughter, my grandmother and my dad, and came to me, I suppose. But like I said, they said she baked some doggone good desserts and stuff like that for some of the families, desserts and food, because they said she had a catering company, which I had no idea. She passed away probably a few months before I was born, so I never got a chance to meet her. But of course, I met her through the stories that my family have told me about her, as far as her love of baking, cooking, and that kind of thing, and started her own business too. So I'm like, ain't this about a blip? Goodness gracious. And I didn't learn this stuff until I was probably in my 20s or 30s, I guess. Not that long, well, I don't say not that long ago, but in my 20s or 30s, about my great-grandma. And I'm like, this is crazy. So like I said, just thinking back to all those things, and thinking back to, even though I didn't get a chance to meet her or that kind of thing, which is fine, I understand that. I got a picture of her, so that's good too. But like I said, just hearing about how she had her business and how she was making money, and how, I mean, that was of course rare back in those, well, not rare like that, but a lot of black folks didn't own businesses back in those days. That was probably in the 60s and 70s. And like I said, definitely, like I said, I carry that legacy on now when I'm baking and making stuff in the kitchen. And of course, like I said, being in the kitchen, and just, I'm sure my grandmother, great grandmother, and my great great grandmother probably felt the same way as well when it came to baking and making stuff in the kitchen and being in a trance, I guess, while you're mixing and all that kind of stuff. Because I feel that way now. Now, and of course, when I started baking on my own in my own apartment, I was 19, 20 years old and that kind of thing. And I started a baking business back in my early 20s too. Didn't sometimes I mess a lot of stuff up, but that's all right. Forgot the sugar for the peach cobbler. Forgot the just craziness, y'all. Just trust me. I had to learn over the years how to make this stuff and perfect things. I guess I put it that way. I'm almost 49 years old now, so I've perfected a lot of different recipes. Got them all written down, that kind of thing too. But like I said, y'all, I had some interesting days in the kitchen. But besides those interesting days, like I said, I had the days where, of course, I was going through a lot of things. Of course, I faced traumas and dramas and all that kind of stuff growing up too. So, of course, being in the kitchen let me focus on doing my own creativity and putting together what I thought was right and what I thought had love in it and what I still think has love in it, what I think tastes good and what and the things that, of course, make folks smile and love what I made, and, of course, bring families together and bring bunches of people together, whether it's families in the office or co-worker, whoever you are. Like I said, I know food always brings folks together, and like I said, that's what I've always loved, the togetherness, and, of course, like I said, the making the things with love that people love and smile and enjoy and talk about, not just talk about for my own being, but just talk about saying that they had this good treat. It was the best they've ever had. They want some more. They never had anything like this. What did you put in this cake, girl? That kind of thing. Like I said, definitely I love stuff like that. And like I said, just making people smile, making folks feel good with the stuff that they're eating. And like I said, being in that kind of mind state, like I said, when I'm in the kitchen and that kind of thing. And like I said, having to just, like I said, just process and think about things that's happened to me. And I'll get into more of the other videos and stuff like that. But just like I said, just thinking about things and processing things and thinking about ways to move forward and ways to better myself. Like I said, I did a lot of that in the kitchen. Of course, I write journal. I mean, I've been writing and journaling and stuff like that as well. It wasn't just baking, but like I said, baking was an integral part of me, of course, being in the space that I'm in now, learning how to heal and learning how to process and learning how to, of course, express myself and learning how to deal with the traumas that I've had, so I won't, of course, have them, of course, creating the boundaries to not have them happen again, but to also learn how to be better in life as I move forward. Like I said, that's what baking has been for me. And like I said, that's something that, of course, I would never give up. I don't care if I'm making money from it or not. I have made stuff and just gave stuff away many years for free. Like I said, I just have to be in that mind frame. Like I said, it's helped me heal so much over the years. It's just something that I love. Now it's not free, of course, I put it that way. But like I said, years ago, back in the day, yes, I did give a lot of stuff away for free. So like I said, definitely it was just something that, like I said, that took my life by storm. I guess I put it that way. And like I said, I definitely have my grandmother to thank. With my grandmother, my auntie, with those luscious, awesome pound cakes. Of course, I got my great grandmother, T. Cora, to, of course, thank for, even though I didn't get a chance to meet her, but hearing her story about how she started her own catering business and made money with like some of the top prestigious families in St. Louis, and just an awesome story, y'all. And then, of course, my great great grandmother, my big mama, for of course trusting me in the kitchen. I guess I put it that way as well. Because, of course, she didn't have to trust little old me. I wasn't even in grade school yet. So, but she trusted me to, of course, make, to, of course, stir, to chop, to, of course, crack the eggs, to, of course, put the stuff in the oven. Of course, she was getting it out and that kind of thing, especially if the oven was too hot. She'd get all that stuff out. But until I got, like, maybe a teenage, well, like 10, 12, that kind of thing, of course, I was getting stuff out myself and that kind of thing. But, of course, she did all that in the beginning. But like I said, I have all those folks to thank that came, of course, they came before me. I guess my so-called ancestors and my ancestors. So like I said, that has definitely been an interesting journey. Of course, I'm not done yet. That's not the whole story. But like I said, I just wanted to give y'all kind of a synopsis on what kind of, where the love of baking in my life came from, and kind of along the lines of how it helped me heal and think and process and that kind of thing too. I really hope you enjoyed the story today. Like I said, there's definitely more. And I'll talk more about it in other videos. Trust me on that. You will hear more. No worries, y'all. But like I said, put in the comments for me. Let me know in the comments what kind of family legacy do you have in your family. Is it a baking legacy or something that you do now as far as a hobby? Whether it's knitting that you got from your great-grandmom or your aunties or your ancestors. Let me know some of the stuff that you're making and baking or putting together, creating. that you got that was handed down to you. I'll put it that way. Like I said, I feel that bacon was handed down to me in a certain way, but like I said, I definitely want to hear from y'all as well. Let me know in the comments, y'all. Of course, I'm the one that's answering the comments, so I'll talk back to you. So just let me know. So again, I'm gonna let some music go ahead and play this video out. So like I said, I hope y'all have enjoyed the video of me making some peanut butter macadamia nut cookies. And yes, they were doing good. And that I only got one left, so, and that's about to be gone as well, so, and sold out. So like I said, definitely, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Make sure that you, of course, like I said, leave something in the comments. Even if you don't leave a legacy story, that kind of thing, about a hobby that you're doing, just say hi, that kind of thing, or you enjoyed the recipe, or just how am I doing, that kind of thing. Just leave anything you want in the comments. But be nice, y'all, before I beat y'all up. All right, y'all. Take care, y'all. This is Tony with Eat and Travel with Tony. Like I said, definitely make sure that you, of course, subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell to receive all the videos I upload from this point here on out. Now it's time to listen to some soft music and decompress and take that breathing time, y'all. Peace out.